Hi, welcome to One Word Today. I'm Sophie, your pilot into the universe of Chinese. We are going to continue our year-end special edition about 36 stratagems of this ancient wartime wisdom or tactics. Last time we talked about 李代桃僵. So 李, if you had plum and peach next to each other, you can see, right? Plum is maybe a quarter size of peach at least. So it's a smaller resources versus peach is a bigger one. So you try to sacrifice with plum, take the place of peach. So instead of using your best army or best man in a battle against a pretty strong, like attack from your enemy, try to preserve your peach and use the plum to block the way so the peach can survive and do the next bigger battle, something like that. So that's the strategy there. Today we have 指桑骂槐. Okay, 指桑骂槐 is again in this phrase, we also use two different types of plants. So instead of fruits, this time we are using trees. Sang and huai are two types of trees, and they, in this situation, serves as another illustration of how to manipulate or well, I shouldn't use the manipulate because the whole 36 strategy is about maneuver, about manipulation sometimes, right? So all kinds of ways that to give you the framework or mindset about how to best use the resources in the battlefield for your advantage, right? Okay, we can talk about the trees first. Sang, you see here, 3 repeated signs there. It looks like a 3-finger hand, again, kind of like that, horizontally placed. And then on top of the tree symbol, the upward turning, downward turning arches connected by a vertical line, that's a tree. And then we have that kind of a repetition of 3-finger hand symbol stacking up together. So that could be a visual representation of the leaves of the tree, that kind of shaping like that, like little hands, palms around on the tree. So mulberry is a commonly seen and used very beneficial tree, at least in Chinese culture, because we have silkworm. That's one of the most well-known and well-guarded trade secret back then, right? To raise the silkworm and to have the textile to make silk. And mulberry tree leaves is the food source for, I think it's the only one food source for silkworms. And besides that, everything on this tree can be used. The fruits can be eaten by humans, and the tree trunks can be used, can cut up to make furniture, or weapons, or farming tools. And then the portion, like twigs or branches, can be cut up to be used in a medicine or something like that, or made into paper. So this tree, everywhere, everything about this tree can be used, consumed, and be useful for humans. So that's mulberry. So mulberry represents something very useful to you. You want to have mulberry in your society to provide so much resources, right? And it's plant-based. And this huai is another type of tree. I find the translation, I don't exactly know. I probably have seen huai shu before. Shu is our generic tree. So I probably seen it before, but I don't know about the tree translation. So help yourself. It's a type of tree. An interesting thing about this tree is the right side is our ghost symbol. And this is the ghost head. That's kind of non-human head with a cross in between. And then this is kind of a ghostly body with a tail even in behind. So this ghost figure paired with a tree. So I'm not sure, like this tree is kind of a ghostly. But okay, in this context, we have point at mulberry, but you're scolding Sephora. Okay. Point, okay, we have 5-finger hand symbol on the left side, right? And on the right side, there are 2 versions. One is scholarly interpretation. One is my personal interpretation. I mean, could be somebody also view it that way too. So version 1 is this is a spoon and this is a mouth. And the horizontal line is something sweet in the mouth that you want to hold it in your mouth. So kind of, I don't know, tobacco chewing, imagine that. So you keep that tobacco, you like it so much, you keep it in your mouth for a long time. So that's the image. And probably back then people chew on something, they like it so much, they keep it in their mouth for a long time. So that's the kind of sweetness, we use sweetness. Eventually this word particular taste is sweet, but it could be some other flavors, we don't know. Okay, so this spoon something feed to your mouth and it's sweet. So overall this image create some, relishing the food, you really like it. So something really nutritious, not even nutritious, just tastes good. You cannot have enough of it. That kind of 汁, so 汁 means tastily. That's one version. Second version is coming from, probably this is kind of a backward and reverse engineering thing, because 汁 by itself in a contemporary meaning, just look at the right side, you can see it's kind of flipped a little bit so that it's easier to write in our handwriting. It's harder to draw this way, right? It's not really not really ergonomic. So you write this way, it's easier, not this way, right? So it's kind of pivoted a little bit. But here, the top, I read it as change symbol, because that's a human figure flipped, reversed, and human change. So we observe how humans change over their lifetime, right? And that's our change symbol. And then the bottom is, instead of the mouse with something inside, I read it as the sun symbol, because the sun symbol writes similar, except without the up tilted corner. But who knows, over the evolution of characters, it could be somebody misuse it or misdepict or copy something wrong, and this becomes sweetness instead of the sun symbol, because sun symbol is very similar to this, right, without the corners. So if we have a sun symbol, and then we have the change symbol on the top, so each symbol by itself have 2 versions of their meaning. And these 2 versions, when paired, spoon with the sweetness and change with the sun symbol, each can form its own meaning. So this change plus sun symbol simply means long-term goal or long-term direction. So sun represents time, and this change means the energy or the direction that you're heading toward, that direction, that change. And so change over time, that's our long-term goal or mission or something grand scale, right? Only time can tell that kind of change. So the right side here can also mean the intention, the ultimate, long-term goal. So I think the long-term goal paired with the hand symbol is a better interpretation of how we derive the meaning of point, because you have the hand and then the hand kind of point toward the long-term goal. So the hand paired with this mission, right? That's probably a better component to make the meaning of the direction or the point to go. Versus, I mean, sweet tasting by itself is good, but paired with hand, I mean, it's also possible that the kid who may not be able to speak yet, they like the food so much, they can still point at the food. So in that sense, it can trigger a pointing motion. But I would like to view it as like a grander scale where you're going, your finger, or you're working. Like this doesn't necessarily mean you pointing like literally point, but your hand represent the labor, the power, the effort you put in to realize something, and that's the direction you're going. So that's the point. Okay, so now we're pointing at mulberry tree, but even if we're pointing at a mulberry tree, we're really scolding the Sephora tree. So scold come from this horse image, 4 legs, horse, and this is the tail, and then this is the head of the horse with horizontal lines again of the main feature of a horse, which is great hair on the ridge of the back of the head of the horse, right? That's the main beautiful feature of a horse. So this is a horse symbol, and then we have this frame. This frame means just a space, and then we have these 2 crosses next to each other. That means a net. So we're trying to contain the horse within its space, because horses are so fast, right? For a human to outrun horse, it's almost impossible, right? And so we, as humans, how to contain a horse is to jar it from escaping, to place it within a net or fence. So this is, imagine the wrench, right? So the wrench have the special location for horse that the horse cannot get out of that. So this boundary setting of for the horse eventually means scolding. And so it's almost like a boundary setting for people, right? So you tell people what they shouldn't do. So it's basically transfer this behavior of boundary setting for the horse to boundary setting to people. It's like telling people what not to do. So it's saying a lot of no's. No, you cannot do this. No, you cannot. So that in time, we just translate it as scold. So your scold, to keep telling people, no, you cannot do this. So that's a kind of scold. And okay, so the big picture here is we're pointing at mulberry tree. Mulberry tree is very resourceful tree, very useful. So we're pointing at somebody who is really useful. And then, but our intention is to scold to this boundary setting or disciplining the Sephora, another type of tree. So because it paired with ghost, so probably in organization, imagine in the army, right? In a military organization, very useful person. And this is kind of a ghostly person. So ghostly probably is not like a fully human, well-trained, trustworthy fighter warrior in your, like a fully functional of your team yet. So they need to be trained to get ready to be your frontliner, right? So this very useful person is used as exemplar, like the model, like be a useful person like this, the mulberry tree, and scold those half-formed, human ghostly tree, like semi-human, not fully functional Sephora, as tell them what to do, who you should look up to, what model you should follow, and set boundaries toward them. So 指桑骂槐 here just means how to discipline your army, because when you form an army, it takes time. Well, I'm not a military guy, but I know like to be qualified to be in any type of specialized army, Air Force or Navy, Marine, National Guard, like whatever kind of army organization, it takes time to get trained, to get ready, to get the right skills and the mindset to be, fully functional mulberry tree rather than a saffara. So here is just to give the direction or the piece of advice to train your people and set boundaries to them, saying like discipline them, right? And then show them the good example of mulberry tree. So that's our 指桑骂槐. And I don't know what's happening here. So I simplify it into one English word of it, discipline. So discipline your men so they can be warriors that can, be a force together, unified force, right? And here I just pick mulberry tree and saffara tree next to each other, and you can see they have different features. So this is like fruit, and this is very useful to at least in Chinese culture context, this regarded as very probably the A+ student of trees. Like this is the best kind of tree for us, for humans benefit. And this 槐树, so it got flowers, it's good to look. Probably it's not as useful as mulberry. So this is to give you a visual concept of, yes, two types of trees, but make yourself useful basically by disciplining them. Okay, cash into the currency of thinking by one word a day with Sophie. See you another day.